Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope you're all doing well. So welcome back to the ultimate video test. And today I'm checking out the Oppo N2 Flip. Now, as with all ultimate video tests, I'll leave all of the main camera specifications down in the description, and I'll just run through some of the high level features throughout this video to help save you some time. Now, interestingly, with the front facing camera, although it tops out at 1080p at 30 frames per second, you get this kind of it's almost fake 3 times viewpoints. So you've got this ultra wide 0.8 option, and then you can go to this 1 times option, and then you've got 2 times zoom. So you can see it's very digital and it's quite over sharpened and quite scary with my big head in the frame, but it gives you these really cool different focal lengths, the sort of virtual focal length. So I suppose if you've got the phone on a selfie stick or something, or even if you've got it folded in an L shape and you've got it on a stone or something, you just want to get that a little bit closer to yourself while taking a photo, it does give you that option. And I can just use the drag slider here to go all the way back to the pseudo ultra wide option to give it this wider field of view. Okay, so no stabilization, no problem. I don't quite know why they just didn't bake this in to the normal selfie video mode rather than having it as a separate feature, but hey, it's a sales feature, I suppose. So this is ultra steady video from the main camera. So you just flick the little toggle on and it then switches to this mode. Now you can still use the 0.8, 1 times, 2 times virtual focal length option for the selfie camera in this mode, but I've noticed that the colors are a little bit more muted when using this mode, so it trades off, I think, a little bit of detail and image quality to get you this stabilization. But I like what they've done here. It's a really cool little handset, and they've offered a good blend of features for the selfie camera with decent video quality, which does the trick in my opinion. Alright, so moving round to the rear cameras then for video. So I'm going to start off at 1080p, I'll explain why. So at 1080p you can record it up to 60 frames per second. You can record at 4K 60, but only on the main camera. But with the 1080p option you can record on the ultra wide and the main lens at up to 60 frames per second. Now the ultra wide lens is an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, so don't forget numbers don't mean everything. With these very nice sunset conditions, I hope this somewhat flatters this camera with its electronic image stabilization, which is quite aggressive. Everything is kept really super steady. It's almost like an ultra steady mode by default. But as you can see there, just walking over this uneven ground, the video is super stable and looks really good, even without the aid of any super stable option. Okay, so this is the main lens then. So this is a 50 megapixel camera. Now this one can record up to 4K at 60 frames per second. And you can see there's a big difference now between the ultra wide camera and this 50 megapixel lens. And you've got really nice colours as well, even with the AI highlight video switched off. And everything looks really nice and colourful, especially out in the distance there at the same time. So let's check out the autofocus. And you can see you get a nice lock on the subject there. Nice shallow depth of field as well, so it gives this image really good depth at the same time. And you can also use 2 times zoom on this camera. So because it's such a large sensor, you do get really good quality visuals even when using the 2 times zoom. It's slightly darker and the exposure does suffer. But you do have that option if you just want to get a little bit closer to the subject. Now you can go all the way up to 10 times zoom, and that looks really bad, very blotchy and yeah, very oil painting-y, but the option is there if you do need it. Okay, so finishing off then with 1080p at 60 frames per second. So this is the ultra wide camera, Now, one thing you can't do with the Oppo N2 Flip is you can't swap lenses as you go along, so that's a bit of a shame. You have to sort of stop recording and then start all over again. But I suppose if you plan carefully, just pick your lens and away you go, and then you can record to your heart's content, as long as the built-in storage can cope with it. There's no record cap limit on this phone, so you can just keep recording until your storage runs out. Okay, main lens then at 1080p 60, and hopefully this will look a little bit better than the ultra wide camera video at 1080 60, but this is just to give you a comparison. Getting some slightly blown out highlights with the sun, but it is the sun at the end of the day, and very hard to control. You just turn away, and again, nice pleasing looking images with nice colours, good stability as well, and I think the overall image quality is great for 1080p 60. It's good to have this option. It's a very, very popular video option. Lots of my biggest views on this channel are for the 60 frames per second video, so I know it's always really popular. But you let me know what you think down in the comments. Okay, so moving up to 4K then. So at 4K you can only use the main camera. There is a digital crop off it, so before you start recording you can hit the 2x option and you can just get that a little bit closer. Don't forget it's digital zoom, so it's not using any fancy telephoto lens or anything. But let's not forget, this kind of phone is not marketed for things like that because of the way it's made. There's not really much room for an additional sensor up there on the camera deck. But this 4K video from this IMX Sony 890 lens should be really good, nice and crispy, which does look from here. Although the stabilization does create these slightly wonky pan effects, which make it look a little bit jerky. Alright, so finishing off at 4K 60 then from the main camera. The one thing I've noticed is a lot of overexposure in the background here, sort of blown out highlights. But once you get onto a subject, you get nice details. So I can get really close here, and you get nice detail on these leaves. And hopefully the movement is pretty good as well. There should be nice natural movement when at 4K 60. So if we concentrate on this horse, which is moving up ahead, you can see it's nice natural movement, which looks really good. Alright, so that's the end then of this ultimate video test for the Oppo N2 Flip. Not a huge amount of video modes available on this cute little foldable handset, but again, that's not what they're aiming for here. They just want to give sort of bare minimum with some extra frilly bits like 4K 60 and things like that, just so you've got those options in case you want to use them. Now, if you've got any comments or questions about anything you've seen in this video, then please let me know down in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, if you're new around here, then please do consider subscribing, so there's more videos coming like this on the channel very, very soon. But for now, this has been my ultimate video test for the Oppo N2 Flip. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.